Well, there we are. We are live for another week of the Bogus Hangout. Let's kick off our traditional way. Bill, what have you been up to this week?
I came across a patent that I thought was really interesting. It's called Identifying Entity Attributes. And it talks about, have you ever seen the ontology pages of the BBC?
Yeah. You've linked to them in the G+ event page. I know that. So anyone that hasn't, you can see it there.
It's very detailed. They've done a lot of work on it. So what if there was a way to automate building an ontology like that? And a search engine could grab information from a query stream and put that information up in an ontology that could be used to maybe answer queries from the public using knowledge base information.
Yep.
Google published a paper last year. It has the same people, right, who've written it, who wrote this patent. And the paper is Biperpedia. I submitted that to the Bogus Hangout thread for today. And it's got over 1.7 million entities in it. And it was created from a query stream. So if they could do that with any subject, build that type of ontology with any subject, and use that information to answer queries, they could get a lot better at featured snippets. And people also ask type questions. I think I saw it referred to in the patent as the long tail of query answering.
Yeah, I can definitely see that because I can work out some things within a category and kind of bump it up. I would have thought that one of the most immediate uses for it that most of us would see is that with a decent ontology, you get a better idea of prioritization. Where a thing has lots of different meanings, we know that it counters that. But we also get queries sometimes where the actual question asked, they need a higher level of a broader level answer rather than a deep one. And sometimes they need obviously a deeper level answer than the broad one. And sometimes the results you get don't quite match the need. And I think matching that with an ontology would give them an immense power to be able to better match the right level of answer, whether it needs to be broader, the higher level of the ontology, or whether it needs to be deeper into that ontology.
One of the things that stuck with me reading through the Biperpedia paper is the concept of canonical queries, asking queries the right way to achieve answers.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing to be able to learn.
Yes. And certainly it's one of the things that I think is going to come out of the whole chatbot phenomenon going forwards, is that I think it is going to slightly change the way we do ask questions and sort things out. I think long term, this could be one of those little tiny things that change society.
Right. So one of the other things they mentioned was they've been finding common misspellings and common synonyms for words that end up in queries for an ontology. So if an ontology can help with providing answers and search results, being able to automate it like this could be a game changer, could be a big deal.
Yeah, good idea. What I'd like them to do is to build into Chrome a system where it recognizes if you commonly misspell words a lot. And at a certain level, it says, would you like to register as dyslexic or lose the ability to comment anymore? I think that would be a helpful thing for the whole internet, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
I've got a friend who refers to Skype corrections as auto incorrect.
Here come the two monkeys. Hey, Dave, cold? You cold there with the scarf? Terry,
I can see you laughing, Ammon, so I know you must be talking to me. I didn't have my headset in.
Well, I noticed the scarf. Is it cold enough for you there?
No, I just fucking walked in the door. You see what I do? I rushed home. I was over at my neighbor, 86-year-old guy, my next door neighbor.
And cut my date short.
And cut her date short. You know, I was out for lunch, visited the next door neighbor, and I was like, holy fuck, it's 20 to 3. And so I rushed my ass home. And, you know, and look, Tiny's even making me a drink. That ain't going to happen too often. So, wow, that's exciting. And yeah, and then I even pulled Ono in because I know I'd be in trouble without him. So yeah, I literally just walked in the door.
For a while, I wondered if you were going to get a red scarf so that you could match.
Oh God, my God, running around like a crazy person. All right, so I made it. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hi Bill.
Yeah, so we were just talking about ontologies and Bill's week. We'll probably come back to that anyway. But Doc, what have you been up to this week? Other than freezing.
Other than freezing, I spent the last 3 days reading up on the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation that is getting ready to take effect here in May for the UK, and finding that to be a real rabbit hole. Man, there's so much to that that's going to have a lot of effect on any sites that are doing any sort of data collection at all in the UK. So that's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, it was a big topic for discussion literally a year ago now, when it was, coming into effect. We're kind of reaching the slow end deadline when it must be in effect rather than when it could come into effect. So yeah, it's a huge change, and I know that Amazon, eBay, Google, Apple, they've all put a lot of thought into this and had to change some of their procedures.
Well, some of the service companies, they break them up into two different segments. You got your data controller, which would be like your site owner, and then you've got your processors, which could be anybody from Salesforce or MailChimp. MailChimp, for instance, has taken the bull by the horns and quite some time ago had already updated their contracts, their service agreements, their terms, and their method of handling data. A lot of big third-party processors have not. And so, typically, we've got 2 years to worry about this, so let's wait a year and a half before we even think about it again. So a lot of people are going to be scrambling.
Yeah.
They have already made a token effort to make example of a couple of firms, but I think it was one was £7,000, the other was £13,000 fine. That was a drop in the bucket. I mean, a huge company, one of them, and it probably amounted to like 0.0001% of their gross revenue, but. I think it was a peanut on the fence exercise, basically. So, just in case you guys think we've forgotten about this, we're serious. And they already had something. The GDPR is replacing I think it was 94 when the previous data protection regulations came out. But those are still in effect. So.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those ones everyone needs to look at. If you deal with the EU and with the UK, you definitely need to be aware of these changes. And it's not something we can summarize quickly in Hangout. It is something you are going to have to do the deep dive on and really spend some time on. And even then, it's not going to be reading for a couple of hours. This is the kind of thing where you've got to spend days researching and days thinking about how you're going to change for it. It's a strategic change.
Somebody told me yesterday that they would not be a bit surprised to see if this doesn't have a new niche in our marketing industry. You know, you got the people that specialize, myself, you know, I specialize in healthy recovery and speeding up sites, HTTPS conversions, and now you're going to have people that are going to come out for GDPR updates, and like everything else, 95% of them won't know what they're doing. And really, there's an awful lot of vague areas in the regulation that are going to be very subjective, very open to interpretation, and it's not very well written. So it's going to take a lot of digging to really get to the nitty gritty of it. I started a series on SMC, and Steve and I are going to be covering it too on Mentors on Tap. But I've found out talking to folks that, you know, there's some of our colleagues that have been out there, they've been armpit deep in this thing for, you know, since it was not even yet finalized back in April of 2016.
Yeah, but so. Doc, I'm feeling a moment here. Doc, I'm feeling a moment here, since you're so deep in it, that, you know, Bill and I always have to live with the fact that, oh, did you guys see this patent? No, I just wait for you or Bill to write about it. Guess what? Shoes on the other foot now, buddy. I don't have to learn this shit. I just got to go ask Doc now.
Paybacks are hell, eh?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're going there, because now I don't have to. So I'm liking it, buddy.
I tell you, it's going to take some time for anybody to become really expert on it, but certainly.
Good. Let me know when you're there, and thank you.
It certainly doesn't take very long to realize that it bears some looking into.
Excellent.
It's one of those ones. If you talk to UK legal departments, they're already up on it because they've been advising businesses for the past couple of years on what the expected changes were, and for the last year on what the actual changes were, what they expect to be the actualities of dealing with it.
I have a question. I have a question. Now, what if you have like an American business that does international business? Meaning, is this something that compliance is for them, or is this only if you're like a business like legally in the UK?
It will affect you and me just as much as it would affect anybody in London.
Like I said,
right.
Apple, Facebook, Google, right. Amazon.
Okay, so any doesn't matter where the hell you are. If you're doing business and if you ship your product or whatever to the UK, this is something you need to know.
If you collect
or service
users, right. It affects. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Service is just as applicable as a hard product too.
Really, eh? Nice.
Yeah.
So, meaning even myself, because I do SEO and I have UK clients, this is something I need to be aware of.
Absolutely.
Oh, neat. Cool.
I don't think so.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Why not?
Why? How does a country put their laws to someone in another country?
Yeah, I think he's got a point there. How are they going to prosecute me with their laws over here?
I don't think that there could be cooperative agreements between different governments.
Could be. There's not.
Hang on, Terry. Take a breath. Such as exists already with Privacy Shield, okay? But even without that, they don't have to come knock on your door and collect a fine. They just say you will no longer be allowed to do business. Hell, they could say if they wanted to, you'll no longer be allowed to have your site show up in the UK.
Yeah, but I think what Terry's saying though, what are the odds of that actually fucking happening? You know what I mean? Like,
I think it probably depends upon how necessary they feel it's going to be to force compliance for the most part. If they have to make an example out of a couple of large corporations that are not in the UK, you can bet they'll do it. First of all, they have deep pockets, and that money could come in handy. Second of all, if they let one entity get away with it, then they lose their teeth.
I think, Dave, probably the smartest thing, it's going to be a lot like there's a lot of people who use images and think, hey, maybe he's going to come after me for this.
Like the Getty Images thing.
Country. That's different. There's laws in every country.
Well, again, there are laws that you must obey the taxes of any region in every country.
Right there.
And this,
There are extraterritorial. There are jurisdiction issues with having somebody from outside your jurisdiction follow the laws of your jurisdiction. But there are treaties and there are safe harbor provisions for somebody outside of that territory to follow. And if the U.S. agrees to such treaty and the Senate signs off on it, people in the U.S. are subject to those provisions too.
I just don't see something like this being high on the priority scale for like the Congress and shit like that. You know,
to see it.
yeah.
Well, you got to remember too that the European Court of Justice invalidated safe harbor back in 2015.
Invalidated one safe harbor.
Yeah, but doesn't that almost make the point for us that there's going to be a lot of like wrangling back and forth? That I don't think this is like in every case could be sort of followed.
But if they sign some sort of an accord like a treaty reciprocity, then
I don't have
bear
to.
in mind that the stuff is about you collecting and using information. The safe harbor is stop collecting information on UK people, and you're already in compliance. You're perfectly safe.
Right.
All you have to do is stop actively collecting data. As long as you are actively collecting data, you're not going to have a lot of safeguard in terms of you don't really need a safe harbor thing. It's whether or not you're turning on the ability to collect data. It's relatively simple to detect, right, any country, any user that's got an IP address within this. We can't collect cookies, we can't collect data unless we specifically do.
Okay.
And if that stops our service working, it stops our service working.
Yeah.
Google are paying serious attention to it, and it may seriously affect maps because you kind of need explicit information for everything you track. So every specific journey that you track might need its own agreement, or at least a reminder popping up every time it's adding data to where you've been that it's still collecting this data.
And Google is coming up with unique ways to track locations of people, including some recent stuff that came out within the last week about radio beacons, where they see how if people are picking up signals from beacons at certain distances.
Yeah.
And if people are picking those beacons up, they can map the location of people picking those up. And that type of location tracking is something that would apply under this.
Yeah. It does let you know that the days of pirate radio are over forever. That every phone in the world can now triangulate any signal pretty exactly.
So, just comment to raise the question as to, when you collect an IP address for a visitor to your site, that makes you vulnerable right there, and subject to compliance with GDPR. The question was raised, how about a cookie? If I put a cookie on a site?
That was already in place.
Yeah, well, but the thing is, the teeth behind GDPR are a lot longer and sharper. So, cookie placement before, it's kind of like sales tax. Nobody was really chasing it, but this thing, I think they're going to be quite aggressive with it. I think they have to be aggressive with it for their own credibility's sake. So,
just so this is really starting to sound complicated. So, so if the easy way is to get people before they even, when you're starting, say, this is what we're doing. We're collecting data from you. We're saving it. This is how we're using that data. We're using cookies. This is how we're using them. Is this okay?
Well,
they submit it, and you've got is that compliant?
That it is compliant, it is not necessarily the most advantageous way for the site owner to do it. Actually, an explicit consent form is often going to be the least desirable for the site owner. Simply because it makes,
yeah.
well, the thing
You
is,
could put
Terry,
that right in your,
so the problem with the explicit consent form is that when you use one, now you have more stringent requirements for reporting, tracking, all of this put upon you as an entity. Whereas there are 6 other methods by which you don't have to use an explicit consent form. And like, for instance, if you have a business contract, okay? If you have a contract with a client that says that you're going to do certain things, you don't have to have it explicit. That is basically in lieu of a consent form, and it's great. There are even times when a verbal agreement can possibly be sufficient. But when you say, okay, I have a consent form, they tick the box, they sent me consent to do these 72 things with their data I collect, now you have just taken on a much greater burden in terms of record keeping, reporting, tracking. You don't want to go there if you're going to win.
So what kind of record keeping? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Well,
it's all in the database anyhow. I make a query and it's all there. This is like not that complicated a deal.
Like I say, this is one you need to read up on, and it's not something you're going to pick up in a couple of hours. This is days of research to understand exactly how this is affecting, exactly what you can do about it, exactly how compliant you can be, and exactly what the risks are. It's something you do need to look into.
It is more complex than we would have thought, yeah.
You know, this is something every company has had its legal department go over for a couple of months. It's a huge change. It's a bit like the ICANN regulations, but with more teeth.
The ICANN spam?
Yeah. Yeah, but if you think of the level of attention people had to give that, and how they were going to make sure that they got, you know, people to agree and state that they were over a certain age as well, with the protection for the youngsters, you know, when you look at those kind of things, it's a thing on that magnitude and of that kind of scale. You've really got to think about what you're going to do. Now, where are we up to? Oh, Terry, what have you been up to this week?
Well, I just decided I'm not doing any more business in the UK.
That's probably what they had in mind.
That's the easy. I always take the easy way, you know, like.
But yeah, it's the whole of the EU. It's not even just the UK.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, now I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have to worry, because in Canada we even have our own.
Okay, well, you guys have burned up like half an hour on this. You're gonna like do the whole hour on this shit, man. Come on, boys.
Yeah.
Keep it interesting here.
It's
Tim, good to see you. We can hear you perfectly fine, man.
Thank you. Yeah, Google loses my settings every third time I get on.
Did you get a hold of Tanya, by the way? I got your message, and I told her to get a hold of you.
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. All right. Sorry, boys.
So I came on late. Did you talk about the responsibility or the liability that we have with clients in the EU as with respect to all this?
You mentioned it.
Okay.
In passing.
The risk of the government reaching out and spanking one of us outside of the EU is it's real, probably, but I don't know if it's very, very highly likely. But it makes me very glad I don't have any clients in the EU, and now I won't. I'll make sure I don't.
Yeah. And I've just and I hear that
what the law's all about. So guys like us won't go and take work from there anymore. Yeah. They have more for their own, you know. That's what it's always about with those guys and their laws.
Perhaps, yeah.
And as an aside, apparently there is an effort on the board in Australia or something similar.
Let's move on.
But obviously, if it's changing the way and nature that things can be tracked, and it's affecting the big global corporations, then it affects Facebook, it affects Google, it affects Bing, it affects everybody, and that includes all the services you use the exact same way that the right to forget.
Yeah, but I think more to the
Google,
point, what Terry's saying, though, how is it going to affect the smaller people, the ones that actually watch our Hangouts and stuff like that? You know, obviously, yes, you know, the Googles, the Facebooks, all these guys got to deal with it. But how much, I think what Terry's getting at, how much does this really affect the people watching this show? Because I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure Sergey and Bryn are not watching this right now. So.
It depends how much they use Google and Facebook and the other big platforms, because those big platforms are affected by this. They are going to have to come up with certain changes, and it's very unlikely they'll just do EU-only changes. It's much more likely to be like the right to forget, where it changes the results for Google worldwide.
Yep. And just
So
as a
would
quick,
that mean that they can no longer track me all the time, so I only get Canadian results? That would be a good thing.
put a plus, eh? I'll make one more comment on this, and I'll shut the hell up. One of the things is everybody out there, as far as they're concerned, is either a data controller or a data processor. And anytime that there's any sort of a failure to comply, as far as they're concerned, either or both are liable. So if you're using MailChimp and MailChimp drops the ball, you could get screwed, okay? Or Salesforce or Facebook. You know, if anybody that you're using, you're as vulnerable as they are if they drop the ball. So it's going to make us more selective in the services, especially when you start talking about new startup third-party services.
Yeah. So if you run email lists that operate in the EU, it could be a problem. Probably not unless you're shipping to the EU at some point, but you know it is going to affect even small businesses that do international trade. And let's face it, these days that is most businesses that aren't pure local players. You know, even rug sellers.
As drug sellers as opposed to cannabis.
Oh, rug.
Right, sellers.
Where are we up to? Dave, what have you been up to this week?
Insufferable. Not much. Renovating the house. I shit you not. It's all Tanya's fault because pretty much all my projects are on hold while she does stuff, because we all know the thing, don't start messing around with the site, because then if you don't isolate various elements, then you don't know what the hell's going on. So I'm kind of waiting on developers this week for the most part. Couple of new prospects, so I'm doing a little bit of sales, and otherwise, yeah, I've been actually renovating, and you know, I had the plaster trowel out, and you know, doing some house renovating and stuff, bro. And otherwise, just not too much search going on, so I'm happy. It's a nice break, to be honest. That's why I'm smiling. You know, I haven't been in the groups much either, which is, you know, so I'm not stressing out about any of that. Kind of search free. It's only Tuesday, mind you, but you know, I've been search free. You know, Doc's handing me in articles that I can send to my clients, so I look like I'm doing something. Life is good.
And Tim, what have you been up to this week?
Well, after listening to Dave, I'm just reminded of how glad I am that I have a rule in my household. If something's broken, don't try to fix it, because it'll just get worse. Call somebody in to fix it. Especially plumbing. Oh my Lord. I'm just nothing startling, just working on client stuff.
See, Tim, in a former life, I used to be a contractor. I had like 4 crews on the road. I used to do custom kitchens and bathrooms. So it's kind of like getting back to my roots, and you know, I'm just enjoying it. It's great when you don't have to do it for a living.
Well, in a former life, I used to be a CPA, and now I'm a recovering accountant.
Recovering
plumbing back then.
Yeah, that's about it. You know. So yeah, and it's sunny here. Like literally, when I walked in the door, I didn't even wear a jacket out today in Canada. I just had one scarf and a shirt, and it's nice and warm. A balmy 10 degrees there, Ammon, Celsius. You know, so yeah, life is good, man.
It's definitely
and just for the record, it's my birthday on Friday, so I'm just kind of trying to enjoy the week and stay out of trouble.
Are you having candles, and are the local fire brigade on standby?
Yes, we have candles. Funny enough, Tanya bought a new little candle thing. Oh, go get your thing.
The candle holders that my daughter made me, and my friend and my son made.
Yep. So we have real candles and stuff going on. Yeah. And tonight's going to be nice and romantic. But yeah, it's been a wonderful start to the week. And again, it's all Tanya's fault. So that's all that matters. You know,
that's where like you use the black people.
Yeah, Tim, you couldn't have picked a better time to bother her because, you know, you're just keeping her out of my hair now.
That's good.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. The busier she is, the happier I am. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, Tim's here, by the way. He says hi.
Because I didn't do anything.
I thought it.
I sat on my ass and watched you fill around.
Anyway, so same old here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, Friday's hangout should be a ball of fun because it's my birthday and it falls on a Friday, which is my hangout day. So yeah.
Adult beverages will be involved.
Oh, they will be in the house. Yes, most certainly. Yes.
I mean, if you light all of those candles at once, it'll be the brightest your room has ever been.
No, that's only after 5 o'clock. As you can see, during the day, ridiculous. Yes. Oh, there you go, son. My son's now working the lighting. I have my own crew now. He's working lighting over there. I mean, actually, no, to be honest, Ammon, happy as hell. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a stressful January. The first 6 weeks of this year were a lot of 18-hour days and a lot of hard slugging. And, you know, the last, I'd say, week or so, I've been able to settle into a groove where I'm, you know, putting in the 10 hours instead of 18 and starting to do stuff around the house to feel human again, you know? Like, so what's the point of work? What's the point of working if you're not enjoying your life? You know, I mean, we all get in those moments where, you know, we love our job. At least I'm obsessed and love my job. But if it's not, you know, like I hate Bill because I go on Facebook. He's out taking pictures and look at these flowers and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, thanks, Bill. I'm still here looking at Screaming Frog, for Christ's sakes. You know, and I get really angry at Bill, but I love him.
Actually, so, I get guilty because he's out doing what I should be doing. I'm his neighbor. And, yeah. And
I know, he killed me.
Look at the screen.
Hey, Dave, don't lose sight.
I don't even click like on them anymore. I'm just like, no. Forget it, Bill. The hell.
Don't lose sight of the fact, Dave, that part of your smile may be due to the fact you're not spending as much time in those Facebook groups.
Yeah, well,
that would cheer anybody up right there.
It's almost like politics. You feel better if you just don't engage.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, you know, we work hard and we do what we do, but I think,
I don't know.
For me, at least, you need to step back once in a while so you come back refreshed. You know what I mean? And when I hammer at it too hard, too many weeks in a row, too many hours, not only my clients but the industry itself, you become a little aggressive. Well, me aggressive? No, that doesn't happen. But you know, anyways, it's nice to step back and come back refreshed. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a few days off myself, but for me, it's mostly because I got this killer sore throat and cold.
Well, dude, like when I came in here and had my scarf on, I was hanging out with my 86-year-old neighbor and his wife. You know what I mean? We've known them for like 10 years, and they, you know, the clock's ticking on them. You know, and God knows if I'm working 18-hour days and one of them kicked off tomorrow, I'd feel guilty and bad that I hadn't been there in a week or two. You know what I mean? They live next door, and we're constantly taking them food and doing things for them. And I love hanging out and hearing the old stories about 1950s and 30s and 40s. And, you know, that's, you know, again, do you work to live or do you live to work? You know, I don't live to work. I work to live. And I've been pretty much the opposite this year so far. So it's nice to take a little break and just enjoy some time.
See, now you know how the youngsters in the dojo feel hanging out with you and Terry. You know, let's go around, look after the old folks, hear the stories about the hoary old days.
And I don't think any of them take care of me, man. They're just like, just stay out of his way.
They see me and Doc and they run screaming.
Yeah, well, like I'm pretty sure because when someone mentions like LSI or something, all I get is a gif with Michael Jackson eating popcorn. It's like, okay, stay at Dave's way. Are you kidding me? Did you just say that? Oh my God! Oh no!
Talking about the old days back in the 90s.
I don't think anyone thinks scare me. They just avoid me now.
I must admit, I always think that Michael Jackson picture goes with the Alan Bleiweiss in front of the Burning House one. You know, I just think those two are a match. Yeah, it's been a quiet week, and I've kind of liked that. It's given me a chance to catch up on a few bits and bobs. But like I say, I'd have been a lot happier if I hadn't had a killer sore throat and cold with it. But yeah, it's snow outside again.
Is it? Oh, you got snow and I don't. Wait a minute. You got snow and I don't.
Don't say that too loud.
Well, that's exciting. Dude, it's been raining. It's been 10 to 12 Celsius. Literally no snow in sight anywhere. So you finally got snow and I don't. Well, thank God for that. Because we had it up to here. No, literally, the snow banks, like from the plows, we're literally taller than Tanya. They're 5 foot high here. You know, I mean, that's Canada. But so England, Ammon's got snow.
5'2", right?
You're 5'2".
Snow in the UK can shut down a lot of the country, though.
No, they get to like no. I literally was on Facebook one day and someone was like showing some video on. They're like, "Oh, it's getting bad here," and there was like an inch or so of snow, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Right? You know, in Canada,
where it is though.
In Canada, when we talk about
snow to sit in London is incredible because just the body heat of London melts snow.
Dude, like out here where I am, you know what I mean? When someone says snow's bad, that's when you have to get on your phone and call someone to come dig out your front door because you can't even open it. It's like, you know, you've got snow drifts like 6 feet high at your front door and you can't even get out of your house.
And only the chimney is showing outside, yeah.
Yeah. But this is it. And yeah.
What's just saying, we've had that. We couldn't even get out our front door. We had to go through the window and then grab a shovel and go shovel at the front door.
Yeah. Tim's showing off that it's 56.
It did rain like hell last night, though. Here, did you get it down there in Mexico, Doc, or are you back up here now? You're down there. Doc's muted.
Yeah.
It started about 4 a.m. here, and it came down really hard for a couple hours. But
yeah, we had it too.
Now it's just some occasional sprinkle. Our heavy rain is supposed to be on Friday.
Yeah, it's sunny right now. So.
I
don't live in Nebraska, guys. Which is
I went to an auction last week, Ammon, and got a $360 beautiful Swiss pot set for like $150. That was exciting. I got this nice little knife set here, Ammon.
Oh wow!
Very good.
Yeah. Oh, you'll have Kristen jealous. Because she's just got her one little zombie killing knife. You know, she doesn't have a whole set for carving them.
I have a bunch of nice carving knives. And, you know, there are probably 3 knives in my kitchen that are the only ones I ever use.
Where did I put it?
I've only recently got into ceramic knives, but man, those things are good.
Really? Eh? I gotta try that.
Yeah, they are nice.
Yeah. I mean, they look ridiculous. You know, here's a ceramic chef's knife.
Really?
It's white.
Hold on, I mean, let me look
up close. It's almost like glass.
Really? Eh?
But man, it holds an edge.
Oh yeah.
Really? Eh?
Is it brittle?
Not terrible.
No, it feels like a really durable plastic.
But
it's sharper than any steel.
Even on that same token, you know, you're part of that cooking group with me and stuff. It's just being able to have that time to actually, you know, cook and do other things in your life that you want to do. You know, like it's nice. Like it's such a double-edged thing, and you know. We when we're busy, it's nice because you're making revenues and that's great. But the problem is you got no time to spend them. You got no time to do anything with it. And then when you have time, well, obviously you don't have revenues. It's always such a toss up, you know.
Well, you still have kids at home.
Go on, Tim.
I was just going to say you still have kids at home. That's one of the most important things to focus on.
Yeah, well, that's that's a huge one right now, Tim, because the daughter's 18, so there might be a year or so left in that. Tanya's more the empty nest syndrome. Like Tanya's more like starting to be afraid of them leaving. I'm kind of like renting them apartments. I'm like, all right, get out. Here you go. I'll pay for it. Here you go. Like, get out.
Tanya's scared of them leaving, and you're scared of them staying.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, come on, we were together.
Just find there are giant 5-foot monkeys.
Like I'm already planning vacations and shit, man. Well, we were together 2 years before we had a kid, like a year and a half. So I've literally had a year and a half with the woman I love and 18 years of this stuff. So I'm ready. Yeah, go, bye, have fun, go start your life.
You are right. There's certainly a lot of magic to being an empty nester when the time comes. I'm certainly in that boat now.
I'm looking forward to it. Tanya's going nuts, but I'm not.
But as long as you can get back together with him when you want to, that's good. So.
Well, dude, I'll be 52 this Friday, and I would just like to, have some time with the woman I love again before I don't have the energy or the physical capabilities or the health or whatever to be able to do that. You know what I mean?
I have pills for that, Dave.
Oh, man. Wow. Wow.
Just remind Tanya, Dave, that if she's feeling like she's going to miss having the kids around to pamper and spoil, there'll always be you.
Yeah, well, yeah. I never grow up.
That ain't going to happen. She ain't going to pamper and spoil you.
But maybe that's it. The kids have been a valuable buffer in keeping Dave occupied and busy. So he's terrified that from then on, it's just her and Dave, and he's hard work.
Well, why ever grow up? Why ever grow up? You know what I mean? Like I'll be responsible, but growing up and losing that energy and losing that zest and zeal and love of life, never, man. You know what I mean? I don't see the need for that. I mean, I'm never a bitter. Well, again, as long as I stay on the Facebook groups, I'm never a bitter guy. You got to enjoy life. Why not?
Yeah, and I think having interests outside of SEO or whatever your job, I think is essential to being good at that job. I think anyone who just lives that job seals themselves into a bubble from which they lose any outside spark of innovation. I think innovation always
passion is important too. Like I'm passionate about playing music and I'm passionate about cooking. You know what I mean? Passion is a thing, in SEO and to a lesser degree internet marketing, but SEO definitely. Passion is important, and I don't want to ever get dulled. I don't want to ever get numbed by life. I don't want to ever get jaded, and I think passion is a huge part of who I've always been, and I don't think that's going anywhere. If it's music or cooking or SEO, it's that passion's why you get up in the morning. Like so many young guys ask me, and I when I'm mentoring and stuff, and they'd say, well, should I do CRO? Should I do SEO? Should I go here? Should I do social? I always tell them the same answer. Just do what you love, and it's not work anymore. You want to get up in the morning. You get excited about getting up in the morning, going to work. It's not a job. I have to go to work. No, you're getting up to do what you love. And as long as you can find whatever, if you find something you love doing in life, you'll be good at it because you'll never stop learning and never want to, it just comes naturally, I don't know. That's just me. But yeah, I love passion. I'm 52 and I'm still passionate about life every day. I love life.
Oh, you're so old, Dave. It's just so
shut
sad.
up.
Yeah, chokes my ass off.
Tim's always pulling rank on me, man. I swear to God.
Hey, I have grandchildren, several that are older than your oldest child. So
I've got a fucking hat that's older than him.
Yeah,
all right, boys. I'm gonna get Tanya make some cookies and I'll send them to you. All right. There you go. I'll pat in the head for you. Feel better now.
Can we get her to dress up in a Girl Scout uniform?
The thing is, with what we do, and if you really love what we do, it's actually very seductive if you're not careful to just draw you in all the time to do that work.
It is. Well, that's what happens to him. Like, I mean, that's, Steve Garanser, that when I because I disappeared for like a year and a half. And when I first came back, Steve Garanser sat me down privately on Skype and said, Dave, I known you for 15 years. Calm the fuck down. Because you're just going to burn yourself out again and piss yourself off. And I've taken those words to heart this time around. And And yeah, that's very true, because that's what happens to me is I get so passionate and so into it that I forget about everything, like my family included and everything around me. And then I get frustrated. So yeah, I'm taking a very tempered course this time. So,
moderation in all things, as they say.
Yep.
And you know, you need to save us, because I like Bill's pictures of going out, but they're flowers. I want somebody who echoes my life. Go out and take pictures of all the pubs in town. That's more like my thing. Now that's a thing of beauty.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I still, like a week and a half ago, somebody was throwing a little thing at the local pub and stuff, and I grabbed my guitar and went down there and sang and stuff and played music and sang for the people. And I mean, I'm trying to make sure I hold on to the other parts of life and my kids and my wife and again, like renovating the house this week and stuff. I mean, holding on to the other passions without, because SEO does consume me. If I let it becomes the monster, and it does suck me right in, and it becomes everything. And
I think if you have a profession that
how I got good at it, I think that's how I got good at it. But you need to learn. At least I needed to learn how to hit the brakes at times. You know.
I think if you have a profession that you really love, you're going to be prone to that. And I can tell you, back when I was in public accounting, I was that way about, God help me, taxes and things. And I think that's just natural. You have to guard against that.
Yeah, and it's a real risk in marketing, because your entire success in marketing is your ability to relate to other people, your ability to identify with their viewpoints. And if you are one of those people who is a workaholic, who's stuck in your one groove, actually that one groove is the one that almost nobody except other marketers are going to understand.
Well, and to a degree, dude, like SEO, because we have rankings and because we have whatever, you almost need a competitive nature to you. You mean like an athlete or something? I've always said to people that it's almost like a competitor. And so once you get into that, you get locked in. I got to beat that other guy. Oh, why are they still ranking above me? Or how did I lose this rank? And so that's what would consume me. I would get consumed by needing to beat the other guy, regardless who was doing the SEO for the competitor of my client. I always wanted to beat him. You know, it's like a fight. It's like a football match, whatever. And that's where I would get caught up, is that I always need to beat this guy. And how can I? And I'd lose sleep at night thinking of how can I get better? How can I beat them? And sometimes, you got to step back. You got to step back and just, and then sometimes the answers come to you. Sometimes the answers come to you by stepping back. You know,
the competitive aspect is one of the things where I do really recommend people read something like Sun Tzu's Art of War, because so much of that is about.
Back of my blog, dude, I wrote SEO. I took
how to win before that fight ever happens. And I think so often there are a lot of SEOs who are competing. They're looking at the backlink reports. They're looking at their competitors. They're obsessed with their competitors. And as long as you're looking at your competitor, you're not going to beat that competitor. You're going to rival him. You're going to be neck and neck with him. You're never going to beat him.
Well, sometimes qualifying the clients you take in is that beginning process of the art of war. Because if you are intaking the wrong client that has the wrong attitude, that has the wrong approach, regardless of what you do, it's going to shoot you in the foot and you'll never get there. So that whole competitive thing goes out the window.
If you're so fixated on your competitors that you can't be a leader anymore, you're losing.
Yep, absolutely. The ultimate goal is to not be in the same league as anybody else in the first place, is to have a league of your own that's clearer of everybody. And you don't get that by looking at what they're doing.
Better that they play.
You get there by looking at what they're not doing, but that's a lot harder to do, and it's not in those tools.
No, I don't want to pump the tires of our hangouts and stuff, but I think to a degree it's also the network you keep.
Oh, sure.
I mean, like, who are you hanging around? Like, when you're talking every day, you know. And again, I'm not dropping names of any of these Facebook groups and stuff, but what are the voices you're talking to every day? You know, like the hangouts you and I, we as a group have every week, a couple times a week. I mean, that creates that creative juice. That creates the new ideas. That helps bring other things to the table. And I think half the times it's not as much the competitors of my clients as much as the group of people I hang around that constantly give me new ideas, even if they don't know they're doing it. You know what I mean? Like just by talking to you guys, sometimes something will pop in my mind. I go, oh, yeah, there's an idea, you know, and I think networking is such a huge part of what we do. And I think that's undervalued, to be sure. I mean, so many people are like, what's the latest course? Or what's this course? Or what blog? Or what video should I watch? Or what? When really it's these conversations. That's what kills me is like, you know, some of these other people that do YouTube videos, which obviously where these go, have much higher view counts. But to me, as someone 20 years in the business, we have are far more valuable because they don't give me the answer, but they become the germination of the seed that gets my brain thinking when I lie down in bed or whatever. It helps me start thinking of other things because hanging around people like you guys, it just gets my brain thinking even deeper and farther out there.
It's the difference between telling someone what to think and showing someone how to think. You know, we have some great discussions in here in the dojo, and a lot of times it's poking fun at each other, or somebody just saying, "Hey, I got this thing going on. I can't wrap my head around this. I checked this and that. Any ideas?" And somebody will just say, "Well, you know, to me the obvious thing would be X." And sometimes it's just not obvious, but you know, we get some juices flowing back and forth, and an idea gel.
Well, and exactly, what, like, you know, Ammon might have a little piece, then Doc will speak up a little piece, and Terry will say a little piece, and the three of you all sit there and go, in my own brain, go 1, 2, 3. There's an idea. Yeah, it's not push a big red button. It's not give me a course. It's, you know, it's a osmosis almost. It pieces itself together through the conversation.
One of the nicest things and things that I remember most that was ever said at Creator Site was that somebody said what I gave them wasn't about the answers. I gave them some great answers. They said what was really important is often I made them question the validity of their question itself and gave them better questions. And I think that is always a core thing to look for. Don't look for the place that just gives you the answers. Look for the place that makes you challenge your own questions and makes you ask better questions, including the rhetorical ones that only you can answer.
Again, you know, I mean, like I've said it many times, but when Terry and I used to be partners and full time, we rarely agreed. You know, it was more of us disagreeing and bouncing things back and forth that would come up with that answer. You know, like I don't think any of us knows this industry definitively because it keeps changing just like Google does and just like the internet does. And it's about bouncing things back and forth to come up with great ideas. I don't think that, you know, well, other than Neil Patel, obviously, but, you know, like I don't think any of us has the answer, you know.
Zara just said that you just nailed the concept exactly of what the Bogus Hangouts were about, you know, and it is. This is why we don't have schedules. We allow it to go where it goes.
No topics, no nothing. We're just spitballing. We're just brainstorming. We're just throwing shit around, and good things come from that. And I believe in that. Like you know, again, like I used to own a business with 50 employees when I was doing renovations and stuff, Tim. I'm not kidding you. I used to have like 4 crews. I had 4 crews in a row. But I always I had 50 employees, and I always taught everybody from the guy sweeping the floors to the highest paid guy that we're all working together. We are a team, and everybody's, you know, no voice is not important. Every voice is important to the larger whole. And, you know, I mean, I think that's the same thing, you know, as soon as you start to think you know it all, then you're done.
Having employees
is very structured organizations where, you know, the guy at the top has spent a long time getting there and automatically discounts all the voices below him. Because do you know who's got the most important thing to say? Your lowest level, the client facing people at the bottom. You know, if you run a chain of stores across the country, it's the people on the tills who have the most important thing to say, and you should listen to them before anybody else, because they're the ones facing the customers. And at the heart of it, your entire business is based on money coming from those customers to those people on the tills.
And as soon as you close your mind off to new ideas, you're done anyways. It doesn't matter if it comes to the guy down here. after that, you're not progressing, not growing. You're kind of done, you know.
Yeah. I do think a lot of organizations have become, you know, hierarchical, top down, and miss the point that the only reason those extra tiers are there is to give support to where the money comes in, which is the bottom. The bottom is the most important layer of any organization, not the top.
Like so many times I've consulted the in-house teams, and the marketing director gets something barked at him from the CEO or the COO, and it comes down to the MD, and then the MD barks it out to the teams below him, and everyone just yes sirs it and follows along, and innovation stops happening right there. Boom. It's like done. Like
that's especially hard. That's especially hard in a business like yours or like my employee-based business years ago, where they're all out in the field. Trying to get people together to talk to them is very hard.
Yeah.
And when you've got those guys, but those are the best ones because they're on the ground floor. They're the ones dealing with the consumer. They're the ones there that are getting the feedback. They're getting the experience. And as soon as you start thinking, you know, that when you're sitting in an office somewhere, I agree, Tim. That's where, when that communication breaks down, innovation and growth stops.
Yep.
I took a class a few years ago that covered a range of topics, but one of them was about how humans learn. And I like layman summaries of scientific theories, like Isaac Asimov's theory, or let's see, his version of the 3 laws of thermodynamics. You can't win, you can't break even, and you can't get out of the game. Very simple. Well, in this learning class, they boil it down to 3 main ways that humans learn. And I don't know if this is accurate, but it resonates with me. We learn through recurrence, we learn through recursion, and we learn through reciprocation. Reciprocation means talking to each other, or in a class, you know, interacting with the teacher, but also with the other students. That's so powerful, and it you know completely makes me completely agree with this conversation we're having now.
I'm starting to see more people echoing a thing that, you know, viewers have been following us for a while will know that I've always said was true for me. But one of the greatest things that cements learning is teaching it to somebody else. And it was Einstein, I believe, who said, you know, you don't truly understand something unless you can explain it in simple terms. Mm-hmm. It isn't until you encapsulate something in order to teach it that you finally distill it down into its purest function. And I really do believe that everyone should be doing some level of training, whether it's with clients, whether it's with teams, or whether it's simply interacting at industry events, but somehow where you are distilling what you know into communicable formats will help you really nail what you know.
I taught a community college class on internet literacy to a bunch of school teachers, and they taught me well. Because the focus was upon teaching them about how to use the internet. But they were the ones who were the teachers, and they were good at making sure I got it right.
Yeah.
I focused upon lesson plans like I'd never had before. And I learned from them by figuring out the best way to reach them and to see how much they've learned. It's stayed with me.
Yeah.
As I gotta go, I've got a meeting. I will talk to you next week. Thank you.
Take care.
Good seeing you, Tim.
Take care, Tim.
I've been following up with Optimizely, Andrew, about that meetup in Cambridge.
Yeah.
He kind of said, "Oh, well, it's only very small," and I said, "You know, that's not the issue." I was very happy to support the SEO Cardiff meetup, which is a similar sort of size and a similar sort of development. For those who are in Wales or close to it, Steve Morgan runs that. It's on the meetups.com website, and you can find it. these kind of get-togethers are really, really valuable. They, as I say, help you distill what you know, help you do peer review of what you think you know, and will help you pitch better, if nothing else. You know, if you need an absolute excuse to do this, then understand the better you get at communicating what you do and what its value is, the better you're able to do that to people you're trying to sell it to, and the higher your conversion rate gets.
Well, plus the networking and relationship building aspect of it, which is invaluable as well.
It's an opportunity for people just in SEO to get their first chance to speak in public before a group, and learn how to do that. And you never know where you might run to these people in the future. The group I'm working with now, I met at an SEO meetup in 2007. And I didn't expect to be working with them, but thankfully I am.
Yeah. But then again, you know, I think any group is kind of like that. You know, we look back at Create a Site and at some of the young whippersnappers that came in and at where they are now. You know, we both remember Rand Fishkin as a newbie coming in from another forum that had a bit of a crash, and we certainly remember, you know, Barry Schwartz just starting up Search Engine Roundtable,
and for my logo, I'm going to have a table with a bunch of knights sitting at it.
Yeah,
and it's going to be a round table. I like that, because why is it going to be round, Barry? This way, nobody's in charge. They're all equal.
Nobody's at the head of the table, and nobody's at the front of the table. You know, it's interesting with any of those groups. You know, do network, because you never know where those other people are going to be, and you never know where you're going to be. And you know, it is very, very valuable. We are at the top of the hour, so let's quickly round up what people are up to in the week ahead. Bill, kick us off.
I'm probably going to write a blog post about that pen I started off with.
Yeah. Definitely. Ontologies are such an important thing, and becoming more so. For anyone who missed it, Dawn Anderson, of course, her first really big presentation was on ontologies, and I still think that's very valuable today. Ontologies matter.
And there's something that doesn't get mentioned much in SEO, and it's become an important part.
Massively.
Well,
you know,
it gets mentioned
LSI.
a whole fucking shit ton if you follow this guy. What's his name? Bill Slosky. He talks about him all the time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who you're following, because that guy, he's been talking ontologies for, I don't know, what time is it? Oh, about 10 years.
You know, it is a really important thing. Well, we were talking about it about 13 years ago when we were talking about the DMOS web directory and so on. Because one of the things
it's like kind of having words on a homepage. Like I do audits, and Terry used to hate the bag, and the bag is called a big ass graphic. And every time Terry would come across an e-commerce site with all these big ass graphics and hardly any words, we'd have to educate the client and go, you know, people put words into Google, and Google kind of likes words and stuff, and you have no words on your page, so yeah, you might have a problem there.
And how many times
ontologies might be kind of important? Yeah, weird. Is it so?
Massively? You know, people talk about LSI, and everything they think LSI does is what ontologies actually do.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah.
And we know that search engines really did get into this. I mean, we've not only got things like Hilltop and topic sensitive page rank, which used web directory to add ontologies, but we've got constant work over the years on them building out better ontologies. The knowledge graph includes a certain amount of ontology.
Well, yeah, and sentiments and everything else that's been going on. Like, it's crazy. But it's the concept of words over keywords, or again, concept phrases or things over strings, or any way you want to put it. is still so hard for so many younger SEOs, and I'm talking 5 years or less, meaning literally people doing this for 5 years I talk to. It's still so hard for them to grasp. They're still caught up in, anchor text and keywords and stuffing title tags that they don't really seem to understand the concept of the human language, even though they're using it every day. Literally, I'm talking to an SEO who is speaking natural language to me in his own words, but still doesn't seem to get the concept that that's what search engines are trying to gear towards and moving towards and always have been. And, it's bizarre. Like they get so caught up in
that look at SEO like that. And there's a very large group that are still addicted to links and, every link.
Yeah, exact match domains and fucking anchor text and keywords as opposed to phrases and concepts and, it's in ontologies. And it's bizarre.
I wouldn't mind them.
But how is this something
that happen in real time? They haven't really experienced that.
But they don't speak like that. Like what kills me is these people that are talking to me don't even talk like that. I don't say SEO all the time when I'm talking about search engine optimization, when I'm in this hangout talking about SEO and search engine optimization and keywords and I don't speak like that. Nobody does. So why is it so alien to people as SEOs to think along these lines? It's so hard. Terry, you used to always say we have to reprogram SEOs. When we had the dojo or SEO pros, half the battle was always deprogramming them so that you could reprogram them, right?
The real battle is getting enough of them in one place to make it feasible. That's the real battle.
I wouldn't mind the obsession with links, and I never did. But the problem is they don't even understand links. That a whole of a lot of the value of links. It's not the least valuable thing about it. Is it from this site, and has it got domain authority, and is it followed or no followed? The structure and what's linking.
Well, the relevance. Again, the relevance.
Structure works is the really important thing. Google are looking at a link graph. We've all heard the term link graph. When they're mapping out connections, it's like looking at a map of roads. Where are your roads coming from and where are your roads going to?
There's just times I feel like it feels like we're attracting people to this industry that could work at McDonald's just as easily as they could work here. It's just frustrating. I know the higher end. I know the old school people. I know we all do. We all know those people that are very educated. I was gonna say nasty word. And those are great people, but really the average SEO, it almost feels like we're hiring for McDonald's or something here, man, because you can talk to you blue in the face and they don't seem to get it. Or you could write really long posts in Facebook groups. And it doesn't seem to affect it. It's like, my God, what is, I think you have to have a certain level of intelligence to be successful at SEO. I don't care what it looks like out in the battlefield. I think you do. I really don't think that a lot of the people probably just aren't qualified, and we see them come and go. Obviously, I think this industry every 5 years has a turnover rate of about 70%. I would imagine, something like that. People think it's that easy because they read these courses or they read this and Neil Patel's and stuff, and they figure anyone can do this. But to be actually successful on a high level, I don't think you can. You need a certain. It's not that simple,
Yeah, absolutely. Right, Doc, what are you up to in the week ahead?
I'm going to be spending the next couple 3 days digging deeper into the GDPR just because I've got a couple of irons in the fire that I need to. I started a series on FMC and
is the wife back? Is the wife back yet?
Yeah, she got in Friday morning.
And you got the house cleaned up and you didn't get in trouble?
Had all cleaned up. But
excellent. Good news.
Not to say that she didn't find things to complain about, but that's just
that's all you can ask for, man.
It's in her skill set, yeah. But
Terry, what are you up to in the week ahead? Terry?
Me? Yeah. I got working on some programming. Just keep at it. doesn't go away.
No. But
Well,
then again,
that does not sound good. So I'm going to start putting a stick up your ass with the SEO Pros thing we talked about. Because
yeah, I think Terry's going to launch a new marketing effort in the UK here any day now.
Yeah, that's what I'll be doing for sure.
no, I'm expecting to hear more progress about SEO Pros and how that's going. Yeah, Dave, what about you? What are you up to in the week ahead?
Again, same as I was at the beginning of the show. You know, I'm waiting on developers and stuff. So fortunately, I get to mess around the house and have some fun and not SEO too much. I'll do my best to stay out of Facebook groups and piss myself off. And it's my birthday this week, so fuck it, man. I'm just gonna take her easy and have some fun. Looking forward to Friday. Just gonna get together with everyone and have some fun. You know, it's just I don't know what to say anymore with that question. To be honest with you,
you and Dad, or
people ask me lately. Well, they don't even ask me. I just offer up my opinion. SEO isn't my job. It's my obsession. It's my passion. It's my life. I mean, so it's just another week of doing what I enjoy, taking a little break, and other than that, yeah, once all these programmers and people are done, if it's that big one I got, or if it's stuff Tanya's working on, my work's gonna go to hell. My life's gonna go to hell because you know how it is. When it rains, it pours. They're all going to get done at the same time, and my life's going to go to hell. I'll be like, head down.
It used to be the same thing, working as a one-man operation. When you're on you've got to drive the business, you've then got to deliver the business, you've got to do the work, and then you've got to do all the billing. And it used to be, work's looking at, I'm running to the end of these projects. I need to get out and sell, and of course you pitch.
No, like literally, I got two sales meetings tomorrow to close stuff that I can schedule down the line, and I just this lull in the action I have this week is going to turn into hell in the next 2 weeks. So I might as well enjoy this week while I got it.
which is where I was going with that. You pitch more than you think that you needed to, and then suddenly all the ones you'd given up on come back with a yes. And you've now got more work than you can deliver. So you're doing those 18-hour days.
Yeah, that's about to happen. Exactly, man. Exactly. I know those 18-hour days are ahead of me in the next couple of weeks, so I'm just trying to enjoy this week, man.
Yep. And let's quickly leave this with the last words for Aidan and Zara in the audience. Aidan said, yep, amen to what you were saying. There's people still absolutely caught up in the keyword phrases. And that connects with the LSI and the whole misunderstanding of what synonyms actually mean in search.
I don't even think it's a misunderstanding; it's a misfocus. You know what I mean? Like Rob Woods and a few of the other guys that started coming in these groups with me, and one of the favorite phrases I keep hearing, even in dumb SEO questions, they say, "Isn't there something better you can be focused on?" Isn't there something a little better you can be doing? And that's not even misunderstanding. It's just misappropriation of time, maybe. I don't know. It just seems like I think people they understand the concepts. I just don't think they understand how to prioritize things. How's that?
And Zara said just yesterday somebody wanted some writing done with a list of keywords, and then wanted to estimate how many hits the article would get. To which, the answer is always 2, Zara. 1 is you hitting them, and 2 is them hitting the floor.
Zara,
Zara,
I love